Good afternoon, everyone. It's Grant Cohn, Lowell Cohn in the Cohn Zone. That's where you are. We've got a few weeks to kill before training camp. We're going to ask you guys what you guys would like us to talk about for the next few weeks. Brainstorm some topics. We'll get to that later. We're going to talk business of football. We're going to talk Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh. But first, we're going to talk video games, Dad. Christian McCaffrey is on the cover of Madden this year. Madden is the football game, and it's kind of culturally relevant. There's never been a Niners player on it before. And now, Christian McCaffrey gets that honor. So I guess the question is, does he deserve it? Is he the 49ers' best player, in your opinion?
On offense, I'd say there's no question he's their best player on offense, and he's the best running back in the league. That's what I feel. I think he's a hell of a player, and I'm really happy for the 49ers that they have him. Iggy, may I say something? I don't know nothing about Madden. I never play those kind of games. So what is the significance culturally or football-y of being on the cover of Madden?
I love that question. I would say it's sort of an unofficial way to make him the face of the league.
Oh,
I mean, it's the game that people play with football, and they feel he's going to bring in the most money for them, that he is the most marketable player in the NFL. I would have went with Purdy.
You would have gone with Purdy?
I think there's something more unique about his story. They're both great.
Yeah, but there are better quarterbacks than Purdy.
True. That's a good point.
So I don't think
and there aren't better running backs than McCaffrey.
Yeah. Why do you think they selected McCaffrey?
Because he's on the 49ers, and there's something really marketable about him. I don't know. I mean, he's not that big. He kind of looks like an average Joe, but he's the best running back in the league. He's unique.
If I were the Madden people, I would always put on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, every time.
Every time.
Every time.
I guess they have their reasons, and McCaffrey's wonderful. There is no one in the league that can compare with the wonderfulness of Mahomes.
Yeah. Last year they had Madden on the cover, which was kind of cool, as like an homage to him. But Mahomes has been on it before.
Iggy, I knew Madden.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew each other, and we would occasionally talk on the phone. And the thing about Madden, he was a big boxing guy. He was a boxing fan. So when like Bill Walsh, they were both extremely knowledgeable about boxing. And so in any conversation I had with Madden on the phone, he would always start off with, Lowell, did you see such a fight? We talked a lot about Leonard Hagler. He thought Leonard won the fight. I thought Leonard won the fight, and he thought Hagler fought a really stupid fight. Hagler was a righty, but he fought lefty. When he came at it against Ray, he fought righty, and he gave up his advantage right away. And Madden and I talked about that a lot. I enjoyed him. But as far as his Madden game, I was a professional sports writer. I had no interest in games, those kind of games.
Well, I think part of the reason Madden's in the Hall of Fame is because of this franchise. Like, his entire impact on the sport rivals anyone. He was a Super Bowl winning coach, and then he was the voice of the sport for decades, and really sort of taught the sport to so many people with his telestrator. And then he was the face of video games for kids who were getting into the sport. So that's the cultural relevance, I guess, of Madden. John Madden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to Cal Poly, right? San Luis Obispo?
Cal Poly. Yes. And he, also he had a very good sense of humor. He did.
Yeah.
He was a big, big personality.
And the combination of him and Pat Summerall was just the best football combination ever, because John Madden was like larger than life and laughing and yelling and making jokes, and Pat Summerall was like gravely serious, and they played off each other really well.
Wonderful. I loved Pat Summerall's low voice, his sophistication. He was like an FM announcer, for jazz.
Yes.
He had the FM voice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Talked really slow, would draw out
Oh,
everyone's
he
name. Yeah.
was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Christian McCaffrey, congratulations. One thing I think is interesting too, though, is like when it's time to feature players on the Niners, it's usually an offensive player. But to me, it's more of a defensive team. And my question for you is, who do you think the best player on this defense is?
Iggy, I have an answer, and I'm very bullish on this answer. Fred Warner. And
Me
I
too.
understand the implications. I'm not saying Bosa. I'm saying Fred Warner. And Iggy, you agree with me?
I do agree with you. But I'll let you make the case first and I can add on to it.
Okay. Nick Bosa is really, really good for what he does. And what he does is blow up quarterbacks.
Mhm.
And there's tremendous value in that. But there's a lot of running plays. He's not particularly good against the run, and very often he's not even involved. And how many times a season does he blow up the quarterback? I'm not diminishing him. They need him, they pay him, he's great. Fred Warner is in on almost every play, Iggy.
Yeah.
He can disrupt pass routes, and he's great against the run. Iggy, I think he's a Hall of Famer. And
yeah, I agree. I go ahead.
he's intelligent, and he's the quarterback of the defense. I mean, he is really involved. If Bosa were out, you might or might not notice a difference. If Fred Warner were out, boy, it would be a different team.
Yeah, and it's like we saw this in 2020. Bosa was out all but 2 games, and the Niners defense ranked 5th out of 32 teams. Fred Warner's missed, I think, 1 game in his career, so we don't know what the defense would look like without him. But there are things you can do to neutralize Bosa. On passing plays, you can chip him. Teams do it all the time. Before the tight end runs a route, he just hits Bosa really hard, and now it's like 2 people blocking him. Or they can just run the ball. He's a much better pass rusher than run defender. You can run at him. You can run away from him. You can't avoid Fred Warner. Like, you run the ball, he's there. You try to throw the ball over the middle, you can't. He's there. So he limits your options. He forces you to attempt lower percentage throws. I think might be the most underrated player on the team. I don't know what they would be without him.
I agree. I think he's the center and the core of their defense. Never met him, but he also strikes me as very mature, a really good leader. Now, he speaks in cliches, but, a lot
So
of
do
them do.
coaches.
Oh, especially coaches.
Yeah.
But, he played at BYU, and Tom Homo, who I know very well, thinks the world of him as a guy, and I trust Tom Homo. So, yeah, I'd say without a doubt, Fred Warner. And look, he and Bosa aren't the only 2 good defenders on that team. They have a lot of good defenders. He's the best.
Agree. Travarius Ward, excellent player. Talanoa Hufanga, excellent player. But Fred Warner's the best. He's up there with Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, although I'm not sure that he's better than them. He's different.
But Iggy, I think it's a Hall of Fame player. Do you?
I think so too.
Yeah.
I do think he's a Hall of Fame player. Absolutely. The best linebacker of his generation. Okay, let's get into the business of football. Niners are handing out extensions to people who want them, apparently. Jawan Jennings wanted one, got one. Christian McCaffrey wanted one, got one. Well, now the left tackle, he's next in line. He has no guaranteed money left on his deal, and he'd like a little security. Now, he does have 3 years left on his deal, and he's going to turn 36 in July, and he's going to be making more than $30 million a year. But he wants a new deal. How do you feel about that, Dad?
If I were the Niners, I would tell him to kiss my tush. I would. First of all, he has no more guaranteed money on his contract. He signed the contract. I didn't put a gun to his head. Parag didn't put a gun to his head. He signed the goddamn contract. Doesn't it mean anything anymore when you sign a contract? Also, so it means he doesn't have any more guaranteed money, but he'll get paid according to if he can stay there and play. Isn't that how it should be? You play, we'll pay you. He wants, in case I can't play, I want you to pay me. I want to have health insurance from you or play insurance. Why should they give him that? He's going to be 36 years old. His contract goes through the age of 38. His last season, he's going to earn over, if he plays, $32 million. You play, we'll pay you $32 million. Otherwise, leave us alone. Just sign the goddamn contract. Iggy, I feel really strong about that.
Yeah, I think you just made like the moral ground for it, but also the practical ground. He already misses games. He already doesn't practice. He already misses training camp and preseason. If you guarantee his salary, how much is he going to play then? I mean, he's already doing everything he can to be out there, and it's not that much. It's like 15 games a year and no practicing. Yeah. That's not a guy that you give guaranteed money to. That's a guy who's struggling to stay on the field. And any year it could be 8 games that he misses instead of 2.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Iggy. When you do stuff for SportsIllustrated.com, if you say, I have a headache today, I had molars taken out, I want to take a nap, are they going to give you guaranteed money if you're lying down and you have a headache and you have to take Tylenol? You have to produce.
If I don't write articles, I don't get paid. But here's the thing with Trent Williams. When he misses 2-3 games a season, he still gets his full paycheck. He's just scared that because of what happened to Eric Armstead. Armstead started missing games, getting hurt, and the Niners just cut him. And that could happen to Trent Williams. They could cut him next year if he misses a bunch of games. And they decide they don't want to pay $30-something million a year for a left tackle who's 37, missing a lot of games. And if that's what he's worried about, then that's all the more reason not to give him a contract.
Yeah, as we say in Brooklyn, tough crap.
Yeah, that's what they say in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's not exactly what they would have said. I cleaned it up a little bit. But
can you imagine him holding out with 3 years left on his contract? Who would care? Who would sympathize?
Yeah.
3 years.
No, I don't. And another Yiddish word, it's chutzpah. Chutzpah is gall, the ultimate nerve. He's the chutzpah. He wins the chutzpah award of preseason.
It's like you don't like your contract. You don't like the fact that it's structured in a way that there's no guaranteed money left. Fire your agent. That's his fault.
Yeah. Plus, you signed it.
Yeah. What? How do you go to the Niners and say, actually? Well, I think it's because McAffrey had 2 years left on his deal and no guaranteed money left. And the Niners took care of him, gave him an extension. And Trent Williams says, what about me? I'm in the same boat.
Not quite. He's got 3 more years. Plus, he's a lot older and a lot more vulnerable to injury than McCaffrey. So I have, again, I have no sympathy for him. Just get to training camp and shut up. That's how I feel. I feel the same about a lot of them.
You think any more players will come out and say that they want a new deal? Kittle? Wishnowski?
The kicker.
Jake Moody, he's had enough. The punter.
I had enough for you
people. All the special teams. He wants more touches.
I think, it's like management is the adults and the players are the children. At a certain point, adults, like Mom and I did with you, you have to learn to say no.
It's true.
No.
When I asked you for $30 million a year, you just said no.
I did.
No reason.
No, I could afford it. I could, but I said no.
I said I'd settle for 26, but you even there, you said that's not going to happen.
It's true.
Birdman Jr. 86, been a member for 27 months. Thank you, Birdman Jr. All Niners' best show. Hey, Lowell, I was wondering if you can compare and contrast media interaction with MLB versus NFL players and staff.
Okay, I can do this. Remember, I haven't been around now for about 7 or 8 years. Baseball players generally are more ornery and touchy than football players because they deal with the media 162 games a year, and it can get pretty frosty between them. It's not as difficult for football players, although they claim it is, which makes me want to laugh. On the other hand, Baseball access is great.
Mm.
Before a game, let's say there's a Wednesday day game at wherever they call with it. They keep changing the name. What is it, Oracle Park now?
Mhm.
So you go in there 9 in the morning, 9:30. You can hang around a long time, and you can get features written. You could talk to people who are at their lockers. It's a paradise compared to the NFL, which is like trying to get into the Pentagon. So I'll take baseball any day of the week, even though the players are probably more rude.
Noe GQ Pena says, I don't play Madden anymore, but I'm back. CMC on the cover, take my money, run the ball, Shanahan, Cones for YouTube Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you.
Dave Barclay says, different team without Greenlaw.
Fair enough. He's terrific.
That will be interesting to see how that goes. The Ryan G. Hensley Show says, hello, fellas. My favorite 49ers show. Can we please get Lowell to play Madden one time? Lowell, are you a golfer like Iggy is now?
Ryan, if you come down here, I'll play Madden one time with you. No, I'm not a golfer. One time years ago, we were in Hawaii, and Iggy's older brother, Brian, what was he, a teenager, Iggy? He said, Lowell, let's go out and play golf. I didn't know nothing about it. And we had a cart. So at one point, I see him on one of the greens. He's doing figure eights in the cart. Monitors came down so fast, and they threw us out. They actually threw us out. That was the only time I played golf. And I didn't know you weren't allowed to do figure eights on the green.
He was probably 13 years old, too.
Yeah, and I was about 11. Yeah.
Fish and Chip says, Joe Cool's birthday, good memories of bygone days.
As far as I'm concerned, Joe Cole is not bygone. He's current.
How old is he? 68 years old. How about that?
Wow.
Okay.
68. So he's 10 years younger than me. No wonder he looked up to me so much.
The other piece of business with the 49ers, Brandon Aiyuk, they've been trying to sign him forever. It's not happening. Apparently, he seems to want $30 million a year. And Mike Silver reports that the Niners have offered roughly $26 million a year. So that means they're still pretty far apart. Do you think, if Mike is correct, do you think the Niners offer is fair? And what do you think of Brandon Aiyuk holding firm?
Hold on. The highest paid wide receiver is Jefferson?
Yeah.
What's he earning per season?
35.
35. Okay. So I understand. So Aiyuk is humbly discounting himself. He doesn't demand Jefferson money. He just wants $30 million. Is that it?
That's it.
It's just so
that's it.
He has a sense of perspective.
It's not that much.
No. But they're saying, according to Michael, and these things change all the time, Iggy, but according to Michael, they're offering him 26. He wants 30. Split the difference and come to the training camp.
Yeah.
Split the difference.
Yeah. What's the big problem? And it's like I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners eventually offer him 28 right before training camp. And if Brandon says no to that, I think he loses all sympathy. Not just from media and fans, but probably from his teammates as well. How many of his teammates really think he's worth $30 million? I don't know.
Well, we're saying 28. We're discounting him.
28. 28's fine. Okay. 28's good.
Iggy, do you think he's worth $28 million to the Niners?
No.
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 So here's the deal. I think if they want to keep him, they can agree on 28 if Michael's numbers are correct. I'd get rid of him at 28. I would. I'd trade him for a really good offensive lineman. Or two of them.
Yeah, that's a really good. I mean, they have plenty of wide receivers. Here's what they could do. If this is all about Brandon Aiyuk's ego, like saying, I make $30 million a year, you know how these teams structure these deals. You could backload the contract, pay him like a little bit in the first 2-3 years, pay him like $45 million a year the last 2 years, and structure it in a way where they can absolutely cut him before he gets expensive, and they probably would. But he can walk around and tell people he makes $30 million a year on average. Teams do that stuff. Do that.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, I think Michael's numbers may be correct, but these deals are generally much more complicated than just a number.
Right. It's probably more about how much guaranteed money he's going to get than how much he theoretically will get on average per year. But I think like it's an interesting situation. If the Niners wanted people to know what their offer is, $26 million a year, that would seem to get some people on their side. That's a really fair offer. Recently, Brandon Aiyuk was quoted as saying that he wants to stay with the 49ers. He wants to stay in the Bay Area. It's where his family and home is. So it seems like both sides are trying to show that they're being reasonable. And like you said, the reasonable thing for both sides is to agree at 28. You think they will? I mean, you already bet me a bottle of wine that he's going to be out there week 1. So I think you think they will.
I'm forced into that position. Yeah.
And I'm forced into saying he won't play week 1 because I said that about a month and a half ago and bet a bottle of wine about it. And I'm feeling good about it. Confident.
Okay. Since we're going to drink that bottle of wine together, it hardly matters. But
It's true.
I think he's good. I think he's going to play the first game.
I guess we're both winners in that case. All right, Dad, let's do some sleeper picks.
Sleeper?
Giants are playing Houston.
They're playing
tonight.
Houston.
Hosting Houston. Jordan Hicks pitching tonight. Only pitches out of the stretch. He's interesting.
I love him.
He's good.
Oh,
what do you want to do? Earn runs or strikeouts?
Earned runs.
Earned runs. Okay. Last game, he gave up 2. He's at 2.5, more or fewer.
Tonight, he's at 2.5. Here's the thing. Houston stinks.
Yeah.
That Abreu, I mean,
he's hitting 120.
A $120. I love to say a $120. It's
a $120.
What is he? A $120?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say fewer.
Fewer.
Jordan Hicks.
All right.
I love to watch him work.
How about Conforto, my favorite player?
Conforto.
Think he's going to get a hit? He hasn't gotten a hit in 3 games. He's due.
He's due. That's what
he is due.
Would say. He's due.
He's due. Okay. Conforto. Chapman, Bailey, Estrada, Wisely, Flores. You like Flores?
I do. I think they don't use, I love Bomel, where I'm as close to a friend as I ever would be with someone who I covered. We're not friends, but we like each other a lot. I don't think he's using Flores correctly. He's a guy who has to play every day because he really can hit. But if you bring him in and out, it affects him. So what are we betting on him?
He's day to day. We might want to stay away from Wilma. I just noticed.
He's day to day. Yeah.
He's day to day. He might not even play. But what about Soler? He's good. He swings really hard. Oh, he got vault. He got a hit last night though. Will he get a hit tonight? Back to back?
No.
Sorry, Jorge. One more. Ramos. Elliot Ramos. Let's do something different. Hits plus runs plus RBIs combined. 1.5. More or fewer?
More. He's a good player. I'm not saying he's as good a fielder as Lee, who lasted about, a month, but he may be a better player.
I think he's definitely a better player. Yeah.
He has more power.
Yeah. He got that pop.
He's got pop. He's got fire in his belly.
All right, we got to do one more pick from a different game, and they won't let us do one from the same one. I don't know why. WNBA. Oh, they're not playing right now, are they? What about the Caitlin Clark? She's good. I heard about her.
I have something to say about her.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of times that people said, oh, it's terrible. They left her off the national team and all that. She's a rookie.
Yeah.
There may be better players in the league.
Yeah.
I think it's okay for her to wait. That's how I feel about it.
I agree. I think it's funny how everyone's a expert on the WNBA all of a sudden, and they feel that she should be in there. Like, how many other players in the league can you name, and how do you know that she's deserving?
Exactly.
Because she was good in college. Johnny Manziel was good in college. All right, last one. Luka Doncic, Game 3. Points. Assists. 9.5. He had 11 last game.
These guys are in a lot of trouble, Iggy.
They're in trouble.
I'll say under.
I like it. All right. Let's lock it in. That's the entry. Boom.
Boom.
And there's a free cancellation for 5 minutes. Use the promo code Cohn, the link in the description, to get your deposit match up to $100. Okay, Dad.
Yes.
Next question. Do you think Kyle Shanahan learned anything from the Super Bowl? And do you think that teams will try to replicate what Steve Spagnuolo did to the Niners offense?
Okay. Those are two different questions. So I'm orderly. Let's do the first one first. And everybody says, oh, Lowell's going to be Kyle bashing and all this. Indeed, I am. Did he learn anything from the Super Bowl? Iggy, incapable of learning. I was a teacher for many, many years, and I had people who could change. I don't think what you wrote here is what you want. Let's start with your opening paragraph and let's get more punch into it. I used to teach creative writing at University of San Francisco. And there were some people who said, no, I like it the way it is. And I'd say, all right, whatever, I don't care. Or some say, I see what you mean. Let's try it again. And you need a lot of self-confidence, belief that you can do it. I don't think he's that self-confident. I think he's locked into what he does because he's afraid to try anything new. He's afraid to expand. I don't think he's capable of learning. I don't.
I don't think he's capable of learning either. And I think what he likes to do is not learn the lesson. They lose the Super Bowl because Brock Purdy was under pressure more than half the time he dropped back. And he spends his first pick on a wide receiver.
Yep.
Like, that's not an issue. I refuse to admit that it's an issue. Well, then no. And what's crazy is that game plan that the Chiefs used is going to keep working against the 49ers.
So let's come to Spagnuolo. Iggy, first of all, before we talk about it, describe once again what Spagnuolo did on defense to the offensive line.
Well, he played man-to-man coverage, but that was just a part of it. He brought a lot of pressure, and he would show it late. The 49ers, they'll do a shift, they'll do a motion, and if you time it, you kind of know when the ball's going to get snapped because they usually snap it right before the end of the play clock, and you can see a guy going a motion, it's about to happen, and they would just bring a nickelback, a safety late as blitzers, and the Niners just weren't picking anyone up. The center wasn't finding the guy. They didn't have enough time to reset the protection. They didn't really know where the pressure was going to be coming from. And over again, the Chiefs were able to get unblocked rushers on key passing downs. And the Niners had no solution. Their solution was to try to hire Steve Spagnuolo after the game, and they didn't.
Did they really?
Yes. Spagnuolo was going to be a free agent, and they went to him and said, hey, you want to work for us? And he said, yeah, let me get back to you. And went to the Chiefs and said, hey, the Niners made me an offer. What do you think? And they're like, we'll beat it.
Yes,
he's like, great, thanks.
The Niners. He leveraged the Niners.
Mm-hmm. That was smart.
Okay, so the question is, will the rest of the league do what Spagnuolo did? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cliche, it's a copycat league. I'll tell you right now, every team on the Niners schedule this season has watched the Super Bowl, has watched what Spagnuolo did. I'm not saying every team will be able to duplicate it, but they're sure going to try. I have no doubt in my mind. What about you, Iggy?
I completely agree. And another team that's going to try to duplicate it on defense is the 49ers. They brought in Brandon Staley. They signed Leonard Floyd. They drafted Renardo Green. Renardo Green can play press man-to-man coverage. Leonard Floyd can drop into coverage as well as rush. They're going to try to do the kind of stuff that the Chiefs did on defense, which is disguise where the pressure's coming, maybe drop back a defensive lineman while rushing a defensive back. They're going to try to do that stuff too. So they're going to evolve on defense, but it's like, Kyle, what about your offense? Right. How are you going to evolve to answer for this?
And one way to evolve would be to have better offensive linemen. Did he bring in better offensive linemen? I might have missed that.
They drafted one in round 3.
Okay. Well, that'll make all the difference.
So the key, though, is like the man-to-man coverage was key, but you can do the same thing playing zone. The Ravens did the same thing against the 49ers playing zone. and they pack the middle of the field, which is where Purdy wants to throw. And they would drop sometimes their nose tackle into zone coverage just to confuse the Niners. And they never knew where the pressure was coming from, and the Niners got destroyed. And what's interesting is this: after the season, the Seahawks hired their defensive coordinator, the Ravens defensive coordinator, as their head coach, because I guess around the league, people feel that style of pressure gives the Niners offense a lot of problems. So Kyle better be ready. It's in the division now.
It's in
Does that
the
make sense?
division.
It's in the division now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's in the division, and Iggy, it's all around the league. We know that,
Mhm.
right?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, like the Rams, you figure they may have watched what happened in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting. It's kind of like the downside to the Niners style of offense. The way Peyton Manning used to run it, he would hurry up to the line of scrimmage, no huddle, and then he would fake like he was going to get the ball and try to get the defense to sort of declare whatever blitz or coverage they were going to be in, and then he would stop and he would look and he would call the play again and he would do the whole thing there. He would kind of read the defense before the play. Kyle's different. He huddles. Everyone walks to the line of scrimmage really slow. Someone goes in, there's a shift, and then someone goes in motion. And then with like 4 or 5 seconds left on the play clock, the ball gets snapped. If you time it up right, you can get some real good pressure on the Niners because you kind of know their pace. They're slow. They're never going to speed it up. So, yeah. And their offensive line stinks. And their quarterback isn't allowed to reset the protections. It's the center. And as Tom Walsh explained on my channel, the center has a really limited view of the defense. His head is like 2 feet off the ground. He's got a bunch of defensive linemen in his face, and he can't really see safeties and nickelbacks who are lurking behind people ready to blitz.
You know, that Tom Walsh, he really is very bright. He really explains things brilliantly, that Tom Walsh.
He's so passionate about the game and does a great job of explaining it for people who aren't in the NFL.
Yeah, I feel that about him.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So you feel like Shanahan, if he were in your creative writing class at USF, he'd be the kind of guy who would just push back on every suggestion you had?
It's possible. Or he would
Possible.
listen very politely, but would only do the things that he felt comfortable with. I think as a writer or as any creative person, and he's a creative person, you have to be totally open to new ideas, even ideas that seem foolhardy. You need to really, really have an open mind.
Because if you're not open to new ideas and you can't hear any criticism, I mean, what does it say? That you're essentially too insecure to be that vulnerable?
Too insecure, and I believe insecure, and it comes out as arrogance.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Brandon friggin' Staley, LOL, says, huge Jesse Sapolo fan. Do you have any stories?
Is he the one who said I made Bill Walsh retire? Was that
Yeah,
Jesse?
he did. He said that recently. I don't know what he was thinking about that one. It's your
And
fault,
here's
Dad.
the thing. Here's the thing. I really like Jesse, and a few years ago, we bumped into each other at the airport, and we chatted for a while, but after that, he came out and he said, "I made Bill Walsh retire." I gotta say, I don't have that power, and Jesse, if you're watching, which you're not, you should talk to Carmen and Eddie about, why Bill retired. I don't think you should talk to me, but beyond that, I didn't know Jesse all that well.
Okay. Dave Barclay says he'd play with Ryan. I need to see this. That's you. Lowell plays Madden. That's going to be a video I make for YouTube that's going to get 1 million views, Dad. 1 million views. Lowell playing Madden. It's going to be a new series. Jera Rangel says, Mr. Cohn, Kyle on the Super Bowl reminds me of Meldrick Taylor versus Chavez fights when Taylor was winning the entire fight till the end, like Kyle.
Boy, you know, I watch fights. I have a lot of time to kill, so there's 2 things I watch on the internet a lot: old fights and Judge Judy. I love Judge Judy. But here's the thing. I can't watch that fight, the one where Taylor gets stopped really just at the very end, and it was right that the ref stopped it. It's such a brutal fight, and I'm not sure Taylor ever recovered from that. That was a brutal fight, and They were both terrific, and Chavez was a great fighter.
A great fighter.
Oh,
Brother Bob says, great to see you too. BA plays week 1, and Kyle Levy equals Achilles.
does that mean Achilles heel, or he doesn't come
Or
out
Achilles.
and he stays in his tent? He doesn't want to fight.
Dave Barclay says Kyle can't learn when he's the issue.
Well, I think that's true.
Fish and Chip says, can we put Little Shanny on the pup list in 2024? Matt McEwen says, sorry guys, I'm late. Let's see how the offense handles simulated pressures this year. Does Kyle adjust or choke? He's going to need to adjust. Madden curse is Kyle's 2024 excuse. Fish and Chip says, we need Marks Bro and a chariot to beat the hump. All right, let's talk Jets.
Oh,
Robert Saleh, friend of the show, friend of the channel, partially responsible for me making it, really pushed me in this direction. Got the break of a lifetime coaching the Jets, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and didn't go so well with Zach Wilson. So you know what? He did the smart, sensible thing and traded for a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Famer. It's just that he hasn't really ever played for them, and now he's not going to be in minicamp. Poor Robert.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I read the story, and I don't think I'm putting down Rodgers. I'm saying it's unfortunate. They have a 2-day mini camp that's required, and Aaron Rodgers has told Saleh he will not be there. Now, he's been there for everything else, but he has something of a personal nature that he can't avoid. And Saleh, who is a wonderful person, publicly said he understands that it's okay that Aaron Rodgers gave him plenty of notice. He acted professionally. Still, it's possible the team will fine him because it's mandatory. So I'm not blaming. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers at his word. Things come up. He gave advance warning. Some things are very important. I got it. I'm thinking about it from Saleh's point of view. Ever since he's got this guy, he hasn't had him. Aaron Rodgers is there in the sense of being absent all the time. So it's not Rodgers' fault, but it's too bad for the Jets, and it's too bad for Saleh, who is a distinguished 49er and a very nice man. And at least we know a great defensive coach.
Absolutely. And when Robert Saleh traded for Aaron Rodgers, I think when it happened, our initial reaction, both of us, was, that's too bad.
Yeah.
You don't really want to go into business with Aaron Rodgers because, well, again, we're not blaming him, but it seems like it's always something with this guy and you're at his mercy.
Yeah.
What else is Robert Saleh going to say? Like, I wanted Aaron Rodgers to be here and he doesn't respect me, so he just didn't show up. No, he says, he told me about it, and I gave him the okay. I have the authority, and I said he doesn't have to be here. That might be the case. Or Aaron Rodgers has no respect for the organization, the head coach, and that's why you don't want to work with them. Because, I mean, did he ever show respect to any of his other coaches?
Not really that I'm aware of.
No. So, yeah, it sucks to me. I mean, you just saw that guy from UConn didn't want to be LeBron's coach. Same thing.
Right. He didn't want to coach LeBron James.
Hell no.
Well, that's not what he said, but that's what I think it means. Right?
Yes. And he made the right choice. He would have had that job for 2 years. Saleh's in year 3, and if he doesn't make the playoffs, he's not going to have a year 4. And it's all up to freaking Aaron Rodgers. How would you like your future to depend on Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I think there'd be some problems. First of all, I think he would see himself as the offensive coordinator. Who's the schlemiel that they have as the offensive coordinator now?
Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah. Saleh, I don't know why you have that guy. And so there's going to be problems. Now, does Rodgers like Nathaniel Hackett?
Yes, that's why they have him.
That's why they have him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the guy was a flop.
And what does like even mean? Like he can push him around?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He can be the offensive coordinator. Oh, Iggy, let me ask you this. Do you think Aaron Rodgers, how many games do you think Aaron Rodgers will miss?
Whew. At least 7.
I was going to say 4 or 5, but I mean, he's 7.
He's 40. He's coming off an Achilles tear. He can't move anymore. He couldn't move before the Achilles tear. Their offensive line isn't that good. 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gee, I'm glad the
Niners got the Niners week 1
problem. I'm glad the Niners don't have that problem.
Who'd you rather have this year, Brock Purdy or Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, Brock Purdy in a New York minute.
Yep.
Okay, I got another one.
How long is a New York minute?
29 seconds.
Okay. All right. Smarty pants.
Smarty.
You got another one for me, you said. I cut you off.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You would say that his ego is as big as Alaska, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody, player on the Niners with that kind of ego?
Whew. Player?
Yeah.
Nick Bosa's close. He may have just gotten a coordinator fired.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's not as obnoxious. Like, Aaron Rodgers is kind of obnoxious. Nick Bosa doesn't seem, he's pretty low key. He just won the media relations award. I don't think Rodgers would ever do that. But geez, Bosa has one hell of an ego. Trent Williams too, apparently.
Oh, Trent Williams. Okay, maybe I didn't ask it right. Maybe I shouldn't have asked ego. Let's try the obnoxious scale. Is there any player on the Niners as obnoxious as Aaron Rodgers?
He's one of the most obnoxious people in professional sports.
Yeah. And I would say compared to what's going to happen on the Jets this season, the Niners are an ideal community.
Yeah, he's holding that team hostage. I don't think there's anyone holding the Niners hostage, although maybe Aiyuk's trying to, but he's not exactly Aaron Rodgers.
Right. And what's interesting about Aiyuk, he's trying to hold them hostage, but he has really very little leverage. So when you look at it, you almost want to chuckle.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to rob a bank and he's got a clearly fake gun. They're like, no, I can see plastic. It's not a real gun. He's like, no, I'm going to do it. No, sir, that is.
He's wearing a Richard Nixon mask.
Pretty much. A botched job. Couple more supers, and then we got one last topic. Rafael Flores says, how would prime 2012 Crabtree do in this offense? He would do good. He was a possession receiver who catch the ball over the middle and get yards after the catch. And then he tore his Achilles. Fish and Chip says, get Salah on before week 1. You can do it. Hey, coach, I know you're coaching that Jets team and you got your whole career on the line, but why don't you come over and talk some shit about the Niners for a little while with me? What do you say? Matt McEwen says, Jets have the defense to thump the Niners week 1.
Oh, I think the Niners will beat them. I really do. And they might seriously hurt Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, they might. New York Minute says, if you get to 30 seconds, you're going too slow.
You know, I got to tell you, sometimes I live here in the Oakland Hills and the light changes. I'm behind the car in front of me, and it's clear the person is on the phone, right? And you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. Finally, you go a little boop, a little poop on your horn. And they go, oh, I'm sorry. And they wave out the window. In New York, there would have been 50 cars the second the light changed, honking this guy.
Yeah. They actually had to pass a law like no honking, right? In Manhattan. I don't think you're allowed to.
I don't live
there used to be so much honking.
Oh, it was honking paradise.
It was honking paradise.
Honking paradise.
Brother Bob says, Lowell, you agree with me that Bosa needs to produce more?
I think everyone agrees with that. He needs to produce more.
Okay, we need some audience participation. We're asking for participation. We got 6 weeks to kill. We're running out of ideas, all right? I've talked about Trent Williams every day this week. We probably can't talk about that much more. So we would like to know, what would you like us to talk about the next 6 weeks? Are there some topics that are off the beaten path? Something that really wouldn't play during training camp or the season, but now that there's nothing going on, you want us to tackle? Let us know in the comment section. You don't even have to say it in a super chat. We will read the regular chats and see the kind of suggestions you have. And if you don't have them now, you can think about it and leave it in the comment section for the stream later. We'll go back and look because we're organized. And my dad's a journalist. I'm a journalist too.
I'm a former journalist. I am also the former Lowell Cohn.
My dad does funny things. Like, so when he's being a little, not bossy, but just like kind of bossy, he'll just say, it's okay, I'm organized. Or when he's asking a lot of questions for like a stranger, he'll go up to a stranger and ask a question he probably shouldn't ask. But it's okay, I'm a journalist. And that always disarms people. Like, oh, well, in that case, I'll just tell you the answer.
Yeah.
I use that a lot.
True, I do that. And
I'm not prying. I'm not being nosy. I'm just a journalist. Oh, okay.
I can't help myself. I have a professional right.
Kev F says, how will the Warriors dynasty end? The Warriors?
It ended.
And it's over. It just ended. That's how it ended.
How it ended.
Fish and Chip says Grant Cohn out and about in Oakland or SF. Okay. I can do a little bit of that. All Niners says golf vlog. I can do a little bit of that.
What's a vlog?
Video blog. So like when I would go out to a restaurant or something like that, a little bit of that.
Tell him what happened to your driver. To your wood.
I told him. Oh, but the story it has a good ending. So I bought it on a Thursday. I played with it on a Saturday. It was cool. I played with it on a Sunday. On the 14th hole at Lake Chabot, I hit the ball center of the club on the driver, and the club head went farther than the ball. It detached from the shaft and flew into the woods, and I had to come back later and get it, but I found it, and then I took it to the shop today, and they're getting me another one.
It was under warranty.
Warranty. I could have bought a used one and then it wouldn't have been under warranty, but I got a new one. I'm getting a new one, and hopefully this one lasts longer than 4 days. I'm hopeful.
Iggy, I think you ought to give a shout out to the shop because they really came through for you.
Alameda Golf Works, best shop in the Bay Area. They sell all kind of stuff secondhand, which is nice for people like me who are trying to get into the sport, but they got a great selection and they'll take care of you. Tell them that Grant sent you. They won't know who the hell I am.
And Iggy, can we tell them about our dining experience on Saturday night?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. On Saturday night, I said to Iggy, hey, you know what? Would you come out to dinner with me in the city? Because there's a place up in the Oakland Hills called Pearl, P-E-R-L-E. And I know the executive chef for years. He opened up a Vietnamese restaurant in San Francisco called Lily, L-I-L-Y. And I had never been there, and I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go alone. So I got in touch with Iggy, and I said, would you come with me? So, you fill out a reservation on Resi. I didn't call or anything. I just filled it out. And so we sat there, and we ordered. And before anything happens, the waiter comes out with this. What was that dish, Iggy, that he sent us?
Jackfruit pizza.
Jackfruit pizza. And it was phenomenal appetizer. Obviously, the executive chef, who we knew from Pearl, Rob Lamb, L-A-M, looked through who had reservations, and he saw it was me. And I felt so special. So he sent that. It said compliments of the chef. He wasn't there that night. He was at a wedding, but the other people there got the message. And then when the bill came, he discounted it, a certain percentage, just because we were there. So I got to say, I haven't been treated special very much in the last 7 or 8 years, but it felt really good. And plus, the food was A+, Iggy, phenomenal.
Yeah, it's probably the best Vietnamese restaurant I've ever been to. And plus, they have some Chinese things there too. It's an eclectic menu, but we got garlic noodles, the best garlic noodles I've ever had. They have pho on the menu. It's supposed to be phenomenal. Got to go back and try everything.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So that was our dining experience. And Iggy was nice enough to come with me, so I didn't have to sort of go alone. And
the guy who runs it is Rob Lamb, who runs Pearl. And if you've ever watched Guy's Grocery Games, he was on it once. And they kind of set him up like a ringer. They didn't really say that he's a phenomenal chef. He was just competing against some other people, and he destroyed them. Rob Lamb, shout out. He's good, really good. Probably could have beaten Guy Fieri in that competition.
I'm sure he's as good as Guy Fieri.
Yeah, I would think so. A couple more supers, then we're out. Grant, do you think Kyle is a choke artist? He's the definition of a choke artist. There's never been one. I mean, he's like the Picasso of choke artists.
Iggy, that was good. I love it. I love it.
He's the Rembrandt. I mean, the way he loses these games, it's priceless. Matt McEwen says, talk about who you feel should start and who Kyle will start. What changes in philosophies the Niners should do and what will happen?
Well, we have to see what they do on defense. There's not going to be any change in philosophy on offense because Kyle is still in philosophy 101. He hasn't gotten up the hunt. Yeah.
It was so funny. So the Athletic decided after the draft that the Niners were going to be using more 3 wide receiver formations this year. I don't know where they got it from, but across the board, they were saying stuff like, there's going to be a flop. There's going to be an evolution. They're going to pass more. They're going to use more 3 wide receiver formations. So Tim Kawakami asked Kyle straight up a couple weeks ago, hey, so do you think, you're going to be using a little more 3 wide receiver formations this year? And Kyle goes, am I going to change my offensive philosophy? No, absolutely not. It was great. It was so amazing. Like, I do what I do. Don't you? This is my 8th year here. Am I going to change? I would absolutely not. So at least he made that clear.
So where did the Athletic get this stuff from?
Well, the Niners drafted Ricky Pearsall, and they put 2 and 2 together and figured they drew a conclusion. So many wide receivers. How could you keep them all off the field? Well, because Kyle doesn't change. That's how.
Now, Iggy Kawakami, does he still work at the Athletic?
He does.
Okay.
He does. So he was asking questions.
I didn't realize he was still there.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I haven't been in touch with him in a while.
Yeah. All day, every day, Kim says jackfruit is phenomenal. I eat it once a week, grilled on a salad similar to pork, the texture. Yeah, it was a savory thing. It had like peppers and stuff on it. It was on some type of cracker. I don't know what you would call it, like a arrowroot cracker kind of thing. It was delicious.
A cracker.
A cracker.
A cracker.
That's how you call it. That's what you say in Brooklyn, a cracker.
A cracker, yeah.
All right, guys. Let's see if we have any other suggestions from people. Grant should get some pointers on golf from Kyle. He has a lot of experience. I could do that.
Yeah, you ought to go golfing. Ira Miller used to go golfing with Kyle's old man.
That is true.
It's true.
Maybe Mike Shanahan will go golfing with me. Maybe I could be his friend. I don't think so.
No, you should be Kyle's fan. Iggy, the point is I think you have a lot in common.
Absolutely. Yeah. Trust funds, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you saying I haven't provided well for you?
Dad, I got emotional support, and that's really what mattered. Centennial the Great says, you guys can discuss coaches' impersonation of Niners players. That's a topic or collaboration with Lowell.
First of all, I got to say, I was watching it. I didn't know that was coming on. I was watching. I almost fell out of my chair. Coach was great. Now, he needs to do 2 more. He needs to do John Lynch and Eric Armstead. He needs to do those 2.
I think he's done Eric Armstead before. I just got to do it again. But yeah, John Lynch and Brock. Oh. Brock Purdy would be the final pièce de résistance. Okay, that's it. That's the show. Cohn Zone for today is over. Thanks for watching, everyone. Dad, I thought you were phenomenal, and I love you.
Oh, and you were great. I love you, Iggy. I'll talk to you later today.
Talk to you later today. See you guys.